Are recording? Hello, friends. Welcome to the What's Up Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the testing of animals in labs for scientific reasons. Today's podcast will be named It's Not Rocket Science, or is it? Because rocket science, animal science, it's all science, but it's really not that hard to understand and kind of take in what if it's ethical or not. So, yeah. Alright, so first and foremost, me and Zeke over here are going to be talking about our already existing opinions on what we think animal testing, if it's ethical or not, what do we know about it just before starting. So we already know that we've been testing animals for 2,500 years by humans, and we are, not to offend any animal, but we're more important than them in the biologic sphere. So, it's worth the sacrifice of testing the animals here and there for a couple vaccines, I think. What's your opinion, Mr. Zeke?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Because if we kill one animal but save 5,000 lives, that's definitely worth more to to the race and to the world on what's good for.
Guess what's worth the sacrifice of
Yeah.
one thing being killed for 5,000? Yes, the ratio is pretty good. Let's be honest. All right. So the next question is: do we believe that animals are even similar enough to be tested on vaccines destined for humans? So our first piece of evidence states that we share 99% DNA with chimpanzees and 98% DNA with mice. Which that's kind of an insult sharing that much DNA with a rat, but I'll take it anyways. And another point is that we descended from common ancestors with mammals. So, whales, etc., etc., etc. I don't know a lot of mammals. Chimpanzees, I guess. Monkeys. We all come from a common ancestor allegedly, and so we have a very similar biology, an inner biology. Like our bodies have pretty much the same systems of running. All right, so Mr. Zeke, do you mind talking about the other piece of evidence?
Yeah, well, many biological parts of the body are not similar to rats and chimpanzees. So, like, the placement of the organs and their relation to each other in the body, or even how our cells are built in comparison to other mammals after thousands of years of evolution.
So what he's basically trying to say is that even though we share quite a bit of DNA with other animals and stuff, we are not similar. Our body functions don't do completely the same thing, even though one might think so. Like he said here, anatomic parts of the body, which sure some parts might do the same thing as us humans, but they're not placed the same. They don't have the same exact role, which makes us quite different. And then we have the
So,
And then we have the next question, which states, do we believe that animals such as rats are even important enough to be treated with immense care? Which, I'm going to be bluntly honest with you here, rats are idiots. They do not have the same moral power, like the same intelligence as us humans to contribute so much as us to the environment. Like, you would not expect a rat to build a building and shelter a lot of people. And that's a benefit to them. If they're being tested and humans are, being, what's the word for it? Or going through the generations and making more progress in technology, it's going to save the lives of them and the humans. So it's worth it, even though they might not know it. So Mr. Zeke, what do you think of this piece of evidence?
well, animals such as rats have also been incredibly mistreated, as about 41% of all tests done on animals in the UK and the US have resulted in an insufficient result, which caused the unnecessary suffering of the animals.
So this is another piece of evidence which contradicts what we just said here, which it just says that even though they have a benefit and even though they might not believe that there's something so cruel happening to them, and although it's benefiting us, we cannot the fact that it's pretty brutal. We can't say that this is it, 41%. Like if you had 41 out of 100, that's 41 animals being killed for no cause, which that sounds pretty brutal because it doesn't have any result at the end. So that's pretty brutal, let's be honest. And then our next point is, Do we believe that the evidence presented determines if we believe that animals are still a viable option for testing or not? So what this basically says is that do we believe that animals are still a viable option for us humans to be tested, for them to be tested on for vaccines, etc., where in modern technology we could use a lot more stuff to spare the lives of those animals basically, and use I don't know, like a robot or anything. So our first piece of evidence here says the testing on animals gives us the close approximation to how a virus, drug, or vaccine will react when a rat takes it in comparison to a human using it. As we said before, we share a lot of DNA with rats and mice and chimpanzees, etc., which makes a test done on them in most cases, like 7 out of 10 cases, it's going to be similar to what's going to be happening to us. However, if Zeke wants to present the next piece of evidence.
Well, technology is being developed to try and test mediums such as vaccines into individual human cells that have been extracted from the actual human body, thus eliminating the risk of infection to the human's whole body.
So what he's basically saying here is that if we take away 1,000 cells, which we have trillions of, I believe billions or trillions in our body, if we can just test like a virus or like I don't know, a bacteria, a vaccine or anything such as, or a drug or anything, it's gonna only affect those specific cells, and it's gonna not gonna like infect other cells, thus go into the whole body. It's only gonna, if it kills, it's only gonna kill that specific amount of cells, which makes it a pretty good deal, let's be honest. And in my opinion, for this specific piece of evidence, I believe that we should, recall the idea if animals are still even close enough. If it's worth killing them for the benefit of us living, even though we have all this wonderful technology, if you see what I mean. And then the final question is gonna be both answers. After ending the podcast, what are our opinions on animal testing now? And I'll give my first opinion first. I still believe that animals are. I believe that animals. I honestly, I believe that it is ethical. I believe that it is very ethical. We've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. However, in the near future, when I say near, I mean like 100, 200 to 500 years. Yeah, I hope that it's gonna become a bit less concentrated on animals and more towards technology and new ways of testing vaccines, viruses, etc., on things that are not living and are not like they breathe and eat, etc., like us. And I think that at that time, if you have all that technology and stuff, I don't think it's gonna be ethical anymore since we all have that technology, etc. And yeah, for now, I think it's ethical. So, Rich, you can give it to the boss, the our guest.
All right. Well, my opinion on it is pretty much the same. Just, yeah, it's okay to use animals for testing and for vaccines and stuff like that to see if they would actually work. I don't think we should try to endanger humans though, because it might be the fact that we give them a little too much or a little too less, where it doesn't make them immune, or we put too much and it kills the person. We need animals to be able to do this. And anyways, mice and rats, people have been trying to kill them for thousands of years. No one's liked rats and mice. We try and kill them all the time. So what's the harm in using a few of them to actually test and see if we can figure out how to get vaccines and have people live?
Alrighty, I appreciate your opinion, Mr. Zeke. And I got a van outside for him, with a limousine and a lot of a lot of water to drink, to chill, to have a nap, perhaps. And yeah, this is gonna be the wrap up for our podcast. And bye bye.